Developing good organizational skills is an investment that will provide benefits for years. To be successful means to be organized. These skills will filter through all aspects of your participants' professional and personal lives. Throughout this workshop, your participants will be given the tools necessary in developing better organizational skills. Through organizational skills, your participants will encounter improved productivity, better management, and an overall increase in professional growth. Every day, people waste numerous amounts of time looking for items. So stop looking for these important items and start knowing where they are by getting organized.
Getting started. Good organizational skills can prove beneficial in many areas of life, including personal and business areas. Organization can increase a person's general productivity, project management, and can even affect his memory and retention skills. These skills are not acquired overnight. It will take a lot of hard work and practice, but with a little guidance and the right tools, anyone can learn how to stop hunting for missing things and become better organized. Remove the clutter. One of the hardest parts about getting organized is going through and getting rid of the things that cause distractions and take up space. When you find yourself among the stacks and piles of stuff and items, it can seem overwhelming. But by taking it one step at a time and remembering to breathe, you can begin to declutter your life and start on the path to successful organization. Just do it. Sometimes we can feel overwhelmed about taking on the task of removing our clutter and tend to make excuses as to why it doesn't get done. We can claim that we don't have the time or that there's too much to do at once. But as Nike says, we have to just do it. And we have to throw away our excuses and dive in. Make a plan on how you can get started, such as making a cleaning calendar or choosing an area to start on. Stick with your plan until the job is complete, and don't let the same excuses hinder your success. Make a calendar with time to clean. Divide the areas that need to be conquered. Make a list of tasks. Decide where items go beforehand. You don't have to keep everything. You know who you are, the person that exclaims, "I have to keep this because I might need it later." In reality, we can throw away over half of our saved documents or items without feeling a sense of withdrawal or consequence. The decision to keep everything can drive us to make inappropriate choices with organization and contributes to more clutter. We can break that kind of thinking by examining what we are holding on to and by realizing we can't live by the what ifs an item may have. Go through your clutter and clarify how it is useful to you right now and get rid of anything that doesn't have a clear purpose. Once you have removed the items you don't need or have use for, you are no longer wasting time on useless clutter, but are developing better organization for the things you did keep. Ask yourself, am I going to use this in the near future? When was the last time I needed this? If I keep this, what is it organized into? 3 boxes: keep, donate, and trash. The most common approach to clearing out clutter is the 3 boxes method. This method forces a decision to be made about each item you touch as you go through your clutter. You don't get to put it aside or come back to it later. Pick up an item, one at a time, and think about which box it should go in. Try not to release the item until a decision is made. Box 1, items to keep. This box is for items you would like to keep in your area or maybe even put away for safekeeping, such as heirlooms or special gifts. This is not to be confused with the things I might need later type of thinking. Only keep items that have value and meaning to you. Box 2, items to donate. This box is for items that you realize you no longer need or want. Items in this box can be donated or sold at a rummage sale, just as long as it leaves the clutter. Box 3, trash. This box is for the things that you do not need or want and cannot be donated or given away. This often includes old papers or documents, mail, or broken items. Once this box is full or complete, remove it from the area right away and don't give it a second look. A place for everything and everything in its place. One factor that contributes to our clutter is where we decide to keep it or let it lay. When something is not in its proper place, everything else can seem chaotic and disorganized. While we are thinking about where things need to go, think about what the item or items are and where it would be best suited. This may require you to refresh your mind and search your office over for every available open space that can be used. But no matter the amount of stuff you plan to keep, once it has found its proper place in your office, it won't stay in the way of you becoming more organized. Ask yourself, what do I need to put here or there? Where would this be best suited? Will it be in my way or contribute to clutter there?
Stacy decided she would spend her Saturday afternoon clearing out the clutter that has built up in the family den. She knew she had put it off for too long and decided this would be the best time. She took her 3 boxes marked Keep, Donate, and Trash and began picking up items one by one. As she picked up old papers and broken toys, she knew it was an easy decision to throw these things away. But when Stacy started to find old keepsakes lying around, including her children's old clothing and photo albums, her immediate thought was to put them away. Until she remembered that it isn't necessary to keep everything and that she can and will have to part with some things. By the end of the afternoon, Stacy had managed to fill a donation box with items she knew she no longer needed or wanted. She also threw away several boxes of garbage. When she was left with just the items she wanted to keep, she had no trouble organizing everything, finding a permanent place for it all that doesn't include the floor.
Prioritize. Organization doesn't only refer to our physical items and physical possessions. It can also include organizing our time and activities. Taking time to label what we want and what we need to accomplish also allows us to sort through everything on our plate and find out how to tackle it. Since everything is lined out and identified, regulating our time and energy can seem less overwhelming. Write it down. When organizing your priorities, it is important to write them all down and make yourself some sort of master list because it helps you remember everything you want to accomplish or complete later. This list gives you a visual aid to use when making organizational decisions. You don't have to list the items in any particular order, but just list anything that comes to mind. Once you feel you have completed the list for now, then you can go back and assign their priority later. Common codes such as A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3 can be used to determine each listing's priority and how you will proceed with each one. Urgent, important matrix. Sometimes we confuse our urgent priorities with our important ones, which can cause us to be confused about what to take care of first. The urgent/important matrix is a tool that we can use to think about our priorities and how we handle them. Before we can use the matrix, we must write down everything we want to accomplish in a certain period of time, such as daily, weekly, or even further, and assign their priority in which we want to get them done. The matrix is divided into 4 quadrants, each ranging in importance, and allows for activities and projects to be plotted in each one based on their need. Using the list you created, you would plot each job in the corresponding quadrant. After all the tasks have been plotted, we can see all the things we want or need to do and how urgent or important they are to us. This leads us to make better choices regarding our time management and overall organization. There are many versions of the urgent, important matrix that can be used for various things. We've included a common version that can be used with everyday activities for this exercise. Divide tasks. Now that you've made a list and categorized all of the things that you want to accomplish, it can seem overwhelming or even intimidating to get started. But by dividing your tasks into smaller groups of things to do, we can feel more empowered to get them done. Tasks can be divided any way that is convenient, such as things to do for one particular project, or maybe even things to do that involve going through papers. The key is to find what combination works for you. Helpful hints. Sort tasks by each specific project. Decide what tasks can be done the fastest. Determine what tasks will need more time. The 80-20 rule. Simply put, the 80-20 rule emphasizes the need to focus on what is important to us and disregarding the rest. In most cases, 20% of the things we have or accumulate are important to us, while the other 80% is usually trivial, if not useless. If the 20% is handled first and focused upon, the remaining 80% practically takes care of itself. For example, using the 80-20 rule, you can sit down with your daily to-do list and identify the top 3 or 4 projects or tasks that need to be done, the 20%. Then outline the less important or mundane things that can be done next or even at a later time, that's the 80%. By focusing on what is the most important and urgent first, we are more focused and ready to tackle them. Once they are completed, the rest of the tasks seem less daunting and can be done with ease. The 80-20 rule is about being organized while doing what you want in your everyday life and not just more organizing.
Joseph wanted to become more organized. When he looked around at what needed to be done, he began to feel overwhelmed and discouraged. But he sat down and wrote a list of everything he wanted to accomplish. Once he had his long list completed, he decided to mark which items had higher priority than others. Still feeling swamped, Joseph went over the list again and divided it into groups by project type. Finally, he marked which tasks could only be done after other tasks had been completed. Now that Joseph had organized his list, he was ready to tackle it and get things done.
Scheduling your time. Your time is valuable, so you should treat it that way. Your schedule can get busy, and sometimes it can seem like there are not enough hours in the day. But when that happens, we just need to take a step back and manage our time effectively. When we schedule our time and resources in a way that benefits us and aids in becoming better organized, there's nothing we can't accomplish. Having a master calendar. It can seem like a good idea to have several calendars for every area of life, but when you use more than one at a time, it's easy to get them confused. With multiple calendars, you can run the risk of double booking events or miss important appointments. Instead, get one calendar and put it somewhere you can see it every day, such as on the refrigerator or hanging by the front door. Write all of your personal and work reminders on it, including deadline dates, appointments, events, and reminders. When you use one calendar for everything you do, you are not only able to manage your time better, but you can get rid of the paper reminders you've posted everywhere. Setting deadlines. When scheduling our time, deadlines provide a sense of structure and balance for us. While every person responds to deadlines differently, they are a key tool to better time management. By setting deadlines, you are putting a concrete need in your schedule, and it helps prevent it from being forgotten or lost in the near future. They give us a sense of accountability when it comes to things we want or need to get done. So whether you write them on a calendar or program them into a mobile device, the next time you plan to do something, set yourself a deadline first and stick to it. You'll find that when you take the time to schedule them, you'll make time for other things. Tips when setting deadlines. Keep your deadlines in arm's reach. Write them down where you will see them. Set periodic reminders. Give yourself reminders that a deadline approaches. Pad your actual deadline a little. Give yourself some extra wiggle room. Remove or limit the time wasters. A time waster is something that can distract you or take away from the task at hand. They can occur at home or at work. Removing or even limiting some of these wasters can improve your concentration and help you stay focused on what you want or need to do. They can include personal time wasters, such as checking messages or stopping to talk, or can even be as simple as wasting extra time to go look for that extra file. Practice cutting or limiting one thing that distracts you the most, such as other people or stopping to start another task. Give yourself a set time that you will not let these things distract you or take away from your current duty. You'll be amazed at how taking these small steps will improve your time management. Some common time wasters and distractions. Excessively checking email, text, phone messages. Boredom or daydreams. Extra time spent away from your work area. Extra time spent looking for things. Taking on extra projects. Coping with things outside of your control. There are many things in life that we cannot control, such as an illness, rude or mean people, and especially the weather. But we learn to cope with them every day and adapt ourselves to them. You can control how you react to certain circumstances and setbacks. When we are faced with something we realize we cannot change or control, the key to dealing with it is to, first, accept it. Once you have accepted that you cannot change the fact that it rained on your moving day or that someone almost rear-ended you in traffic, we can learn to cope with them by remembering what we can control. You can control what alternative plan you have for moving day, and you can control how you choose to respond to the rude driver. Focusing on what you can control rather than what you can't will help you feel more empowered and less likely to let other obstacles overcome you.
Kirsten had an important report due at the end of the week and was having trouble making progress. Even though she wrote it on her master calendar and gave herself several reminders, she felt as though she lacked focus to concentrate on the project. One night, Kirsten decided to work on the project at home. She turned off her cell phone and went into her room to be alone and work on the report. She noticed that she worked much better without the everyday distractions that she faced at work. She finished her report 2 days early.
Since we can often feel overwhelmed by the amount of work we need to do, one of the easiest things we can do is create to-do lists. Creating a list ensures that tasks are written down in one place and is easily referenced later. You don't have to use a typical to-do list, just as long as you can manage the tasks you have written down and prioritize them as needed. Use a day planner. A day planner is a great tool to help you manage your time and stay on top of projects and job lists. It's handy to carry with you and keep within arm's reach. When making your central to-do list, your day planner can be used for keeping all of your reminders and notes in one place, which can make it your central source for your information. The key is to update it regularly and use it every day. Tips for having a day planner. Put contact information in the front of it. Update it regularly and reference it every day. Utilize the notes section. Finish what you start. When we complete a task or project, we get a sense of completion and accomplishment, which can make us feel great about ourselves. But when we drop a project or fail to complete it, it can make us feel depressed and bleak. Completing something that you've taken the effort to start also helps you become more productive and ensures that things are done on time, whether it is your deadline or someone else's. Also, when you complete something all the way through the first time, it saves you from having to come back later and try to finish it then. Focus on the important. By now, you're keeping several to-do lists and endless tallies in your head or even writing some down. Even though you've established your project's priority, sometimes we can lose sight of the big picture and will stray from the main path. It is essential to keep focusing on the important aspects of your to-do list, whether it's finishing something on time or making sure you get the right data for the report. If you come across a task that does not coordinate with your larger goals, put it aside for now and keep focus on what you need to do to get your things done. If you have to, limit yourself to a few important tasks to focus on first before moving on to the rest. Recognize what tasks are important enough to focus on now and which ones can wait until a later time. Remember, anyone can make a to-do list with lots of check marks and bullets, but getting the things done will seem endless if you lack focus and determination. Do quick tasks immediately. When we make our to-do lists, there's normally a variety of chores and tasks to complete. Some are more important than others, and some will take more time than others. While looking at your lists, make note of things you can do quickly and wouldn't take up much of your time. Do these tasks right away so that you can quickly cross them off your to-do list and give yourself a pat on the back. When you finish these tasks quickly and do them right away, it leaves more room for you to focus on more complicated or lengthy tasks and projects. Sample quick tasks: filing paperwork, posting reminders and notices, sending follow-up emails.
David reviewed his schedule and realized that he had been missing several important appointments and meetings. He thought about what he could do to help improve his productivity and memory skills. The first thing he did was buy a calendar for his house and a small day planner to carry with him. He went through his weekly and monthly schedule and wrote down everything that needed to be remembered. He made a list of projects he had recently started but never finished and made a plan on how to complete them so that they would not linger on his list any longer. Now that he had his tasks organized, David felt like he had a better handle on his schedule and time.
Paper and paperless storage. We all have those pieces of paper we keep around us, whether it's old receipts, invoices, cards, or old letters. On the other side of the coin, we are living in the paperless age, where everything is done electronically, including utility bills and notifications. Luckily, we don't have to choose between one and the other. A paper and paperless storage system can work for anyone, as long as they work together to keep things organized. Find a system that works for you. When deciding whether or not to go paperless, we have to decide what would work best for our situations. Many of us function well with physical pieces of paper in some sort of filing system. Others of us work better in the electronic filing system and keep paperless files, whether on a computer or portable device. Paper storage systems allow you to keep various paper documents and files for easy access and reference, and can provide a firm reference if needed to present a hard copy. However, a paperless system allows you to free up more space while managing to keep documents for a longer period of time. So, in order to decide which works for you, examine how you store your valuable information. Ask yourself some of the following questions to decide what system works for you. Where do I keep my information? Do I keep physical things or electronic versions? If I store paper, do I have the space? If I store paperless, do I have the access? Make it consistent. Whichever storage system you choose, or whether you decide to use both, keep your methods consistent. If you decide to choose one method over the other, be sure to stick with this method for all of your papers or files. Keep them in one central location so that they are easily accessible. If you decide to use a combination of these methods, keep your paper files and electronic files consistent with matching names for paper folders and the ones on your computer. If file names are different and do not share a key name, documents could be lost or placed in the wrong folder or file. The system you choose to use should help boost your organization, not complicate it. Make it time sensitive. Every piece of information in storage is connected to some kind of timeline, such as a printed date, times, or schedules. When we store these items and keep them out of sight, we can often forget what they are for and possibly miss important deadlines. To avoid misplacing or forgetting these time-sensitive materials, make your method of organization time-sensitive as well. Create bins or folders with dates and reminders on them. Make different categories for them, such as personal, bills, work projects, or jobs to help remind you of their shelf life. By keeping these documents handy or in marked computer files, we can keep track of pressing, time-sensitive information without letting the deadline or due date slip through our fingers. Setting up archives. Now that you've sorted all of your files and folders and decided what you need to keep or throw away, the next step is to set up various archives for documents that you need to keep for future use, but won't necessarily need every day. Establish a reference system that works for you and can be easily sorted through later when you need to find something. If you're keeping physical files, keep them in a folder or bin that is not in your direct work area. Put it away in the back of a drawer or on a higher shelf than everything else. If you decide to keep digital files, keep all documents in archived folders and relocate them to another computer if possible. Don't keep them on the desktop along with the things you do every day. However you decide to store your materials, setting up archives will help you keep track of files you need to hang on to while keeping them out of your everyday workspace.
Rhonda wanted to organize the mounds of paperwork that were in her office. She realized that she needed a better way to store everything she needed to keep. First, she decided that she could scan and copy several of her document files onto her computer for easy storage. That way, she didn't need to keep the hard copy. She needed to keep physical copies of some documents for future reference, so she developed a file system for her paper storage. Lastly, she set aside a special folder for her older and less important documents to archive. She put them in the back of the bottom drawer of her filing cabinet so that they would be out of her way while she was working, but she could reach them quickly if she needed to.